First, let's check in with our media partners from the Voice of OC for an update on what's happening this week in Orange County government and politics. Here to talk about issues in the news right now, we welcome the editor-in-chief of Voice of OC, Norberto Santana. Hello, Norberto.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Norberto. Okay, in Garden Grove, it appears that public employment has turned into a family affair for several top officials there.
Indeed, officials in Garden Grove are drawing a lot of attention from observers. And when Voice of OC started reviewing records, our reporter, TiVo, found an interesting pattern. Top officials have placed more than a half dozen direct relatives in city jobs. According to city records, City Manager Matthew Fertal's sons and his niece have all worked at the city in paid rank-and-file positions since Fertal became city manager in 2004. Matthew Fertal Jr. started as an intern in 2007 and held two other positions between 2009 and 2012. Jason Fertal started in 2007 as a part-time trainee. He now works full-time. Alex Fertal worked temporary summer jobs in 2008 and has now worked for almost 2 years as a part-time paid intern. Now, Fertal's niece, Shauna McDonough, started as an intern in 2008, eventually interned at the finance department, and is now a senior account specialist. Now, the salaries of Fertal's sons range from $27,000 a year for a paid internship to just over $62,000 annually for an administrative aide position. Now, the highest salary his niece could receive is about $55,000 a year. City Finance Director Kingsley Okereke, two college-age daughters, Kimberly and Jennifer, have worked temporary summer jobs for the city's recreation department, and Mayor Bruce Broadwater's son, Jeremy, has been working as a community services coordinator for the city since 2007. Now, both Okerekes earned about $2,000 each summer, and the annual salary range for Jeremy Broadwater is between $44,000 and $59,000 a year. Now, before 2005, such hiring would have absolutely violated the city's nepotism policy, which was passed as an ordinance in 2000 during one of Broadwater's earlier terms as mayor. But in 2005, when Broadwater was off the city council, officials voted to change the policy. Now, that year, the council under Mayor Bill Dalton voted 4-1 to change the policy, removing a ban on hiring relatives of top-level employees. Now, while Broadwater told our reporter earlier in the week that he'd seek to have the policy reviewed, he refused comment on Tuesday when reporters showed up to the council meeting to ask questions on videotape. Now, both Fertal and Okereke defend their offspring's employment by the city, saying it did not present a conflict of interest. That policy is still in place today. It doesn't allow employees to work for the same department or under the supervision of a relative, but it also states that no person shall be disqualified from employment in the city or be given special consideration by the virtue of the fact that the person is a relative of a current employee. Now, Voice of OC has placed a Public Records Act request pending for all of the resumes, employment history, hiring notices for every single one of these employees' relatives, after a 14-day extension requested by the city. To keep up with this developing story, just visit our site at voiceofoc.org.
Okay, now in Santa Ana, residents are seemingly taking back their city hall after years of a continued disconnect between neighborhoods and leaders. What's happening?
Absolutely. They've called it the Santa Ana Spring. It's a process where newly elected council members are increasingly moving away from the old ways of doing business in Santa Ana. An insider culture dominated by Mayor Miguel Polito and his longtime aides, it's systematically being stripped away and replaced with a more inclusive government. Now, this month, hundreds of people turned out to the city's first 5-year strategic planning session, where residents are increasingly telling officials what they want to see out of their city: less police and more parks and social programs. Yet old ways seemingly die hard in Santa Ana. Their council members drew a lot of fire this month when they fired away Phoenix's city manager, David Cavazos, by offering him a compensation package of more than $500,000. Now, Cavazos will be the chief executive leading this transformation, and many observers say his toughest job in Orange County's youngest and most immigrant city will be attracting the kind of economic development that can fund something other than cops from City Hall. Now, council members say that's exactly why they're paying Cavazos so much. And while there are questions about his decisions back in Phoenix, such as a controversial food tax that hit many of the city's poorest residents hardest, there's also a lot of praise for him as an outside-the-box thinker who can deliver on economic development.
All right, let's move on to the environmentalists and the activists that won a lawsuit to stop county-approved development plans for a housing tract in Trabuco Canyon. Now we hear that the county might appeal.
Yep, it's been a decades-long battle out in the Trabuco Canyon area, chock full of developer contributions and apparently now, according to a judge, ginned up traffic studies. Now, all that came to a head last year when County Supervisor Bill Campbell played a major role in approving a development called Saddle Crest. Supervisors approved the development, activists sued, and they won. Now, this week, Supervisor Todd Spitzer, who represents the area, told activists he's still not sure whether to press his colleagues to appeal that lawsuit on behalf of Rudder Development. That's prompted protests from the activists who really wonder how any public official could be on the fence on something that the courts saw so clearly. We'll keep on monitoring this one, and we'll let you know which way the county goes on it.
Okay, Norberto, thank you very much. And folks, if you'd like to get more on these stories and other political news throughout Orange County, go to voiceofoc.org.